This is a detailed makeup tutorial for girlies who haven't been wearing a lot of makeup but want to get started and want to start with luxury products right away. I'm applying the It Cosmetics CC Plus Skin Tint with a dense brush. Half a drop on the brush, I am placing it on my face and then blending it. If I had heavier dark circles, I would have color corrected before this step, but we don't need that right now. I'm picking the product and placing it around my under eyes first, which means that it's a lot of product around there, which I need to move around the rest of my face before I start blending it all in. Otherwise, I'll just have too much product at one spot. Moving it all around the face is going to be much harder if I just place a lot of it all at once. I usually just gently tap and then drag it, but I switch to a more paintbrush stroke towards the end as my product starts drying up or as I start running out of product. The first dip into that drop on my hand was a lot of product on my brush, but then with each time I'm picking less and less product, there's less and less spread, and a lot of it has started blending on my hand itself, and therefore my brush strokes start changing towards more of a lift and apply or a lift and paint sort of a motion. Towards the end, I just buff the product that I have successfully placed across my face. Sometimes I just drag across my face in areas where I still feel like there is a lot of product accumulated. You also have to use different brush strokes as per different brushes that you're using because of the kind of bristles they have. This one has dense foundation brush bristles, but the shape is like a contour brush. It's a thin, flat shape, which allows me to spread product over larger areas when I need it, but also allows me to get into all of these areas around my under eyes and so on. Speaking of under eyes, let's move on to concealer. This one's by Sisley. I take a very tiny drop on my fingertip and then I blend it on my fingertip. It sort of warms it up as well and spreads it out. And then I only get it on the darkest corners of my under eye. I like this tapping with my finger motion for this stage because sometimes using the brush can mess up the foundation layer below. Finger just places the concealer. This varies for different concealer formulas. The MAC concealer and even the Sisley one I feel has worked better with fingers for me. The corners that do get left behind, I like to use the brush that it came with. Again, I'm trying to minimize the tools, but this concealer comes with a brush as well, which kind of looks like a lip brush. But I use that brush to reach the furthest corners that my fingers cannot reach. Now I'll set my face with a big fluffy brush and the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Finish Compact Powder. This compact is so light that I don't even have to dust it off. I can just tap into the powder and apply straight to my face. It's just so finely milled that it doesn't accumulate anywhere, and I usually just get the most invisible setting from this. I focus more on the T-zone of my face and then just run the brush everywhere else. I use the same brush to use my blush. I'm using Dior Backstage Glow Pink. And even though it looks so bright in the pan, it's actually very beginner friendly because it doesn't release too much pigment right away. You kind of build it up. I apply it with a very light touch with long oval brush strokes connecting the apple of my cheek all the way to the temple, or almost overlapping where the highlighter is later going to be. And for good measure, I add a touch of blush under where my bronzer and my eyeshadow is going to sit. Sort of like an underpainting. I'm using a long narrow powder brush, a flat contour brush, and the Charlotte Tilbury Bronze and Glow palette in the shade light to medium. The sculpt shade here is quite cool tone, so it's perfect for carving out cheekbones. It's better as a contour, and for bronzer, I would use a different color if I had to. For skin tones darker than mine, it may not work very well as a contour, but it works quite well for me. And how you identify where to contour is actually subjective. It changes face to face, but a general rule of thumb is that you look at your face and just see where you want the sharpness to be and then place your flat contour brush right under it. It's just going to create that sharp shadow right under that part that you want to bring out forward. I'll be talking about different placements for different face shapes in a different video, but just assume that your brush is a stamp which is going to push back wherever you place it. Like here, I pushed back the bottom and the sides of my nose such that the middle of my nose looks like it's protruding forward. And that makes it look thinner and carved out in a way that I want it. I'm doing the same right under my jawline, under my cheekbones as well. The specific angles, positions, and placements, like I said, change for different faces, and we'll be covering that soon. You can subscribe if you want to keep up with those videos, by the way. Highlighter placement also varies a lot by face shape. I used to be so scared of highlighter back in the days because if placed incorrectly, it can highlight those bony areas of your face that look awkward in light. Start small, apply a little, and then watch yourself in different lights. Take a lot of photos, stand in different lights, and see how the highlighter behaves, and then start mapping it out. You can watch in this video the exact placement I like on the highlighter, but we'll have to do a custom version for different face shapes as well. Using the Dior Show eyeshadow palette in Amber Pearl, it comes with two applicators, one a sponge and the other is like a brush. I'm using the sponge applicator in the darkest color here. I'm placing it closest to my lash line, both on the top and the bottom. On the top, I'm also going to be extending it a little and also going to go above my crease, close to the brow bone, to sort of create a V on the outside. The reason I chose this palette for this look is because you may not want to buy too many brushes when you're just starting out, and this palette sort of gets you started with all the basic colors you'd need for a full eye look for a complexion like mine. I'm applying the lighter shimmer on the outer and inner corners of my eye, trying to expand it horizontally. I'll also get a touch of it on my brow bone to have the shimmer reflect light from these three wide points of my eye, so it'll create an illusion of a bigger eye. I do recommend buying one eyeshadow brush like this. It's similar to MAC 217 and it's a blending brush, but it can be used in multiple ways. I'm also going to go over my contour and deepen the eye socket above my crease, not on the crease, but slightly above towards the brow bone. This again creates an illusion of expansion for your eyelid. My favorite hack is coming now. I'll use the Bobbi Brown eyeshadow stick in Bark, and I'll use a flat, thin, angled brush to apply it. Otherwise, the stick is too thick to apply it as an eyeliner. I'm starting at the lash line, but then going higher up to create a wing, and I'm using this instead of a powder eyeshadow because I will not experience any fallout. And the reason why I'm not going with an eyeliner first is because I want a really soft, easy to blend line, and also one that's very delicate and thin. This also lets me get into the inner corner really gently, and I'm able to slowly drag out the perfect thin eyeliner line using this brush. Once I have blocked this space, I'll just blend it a little further. Later, I'll also be applying an eyeliner on this, but for now, this will just help me mark my initial soft eyeliner line, and I can even leave it at that. So my hack here is to not use an eyeliner, but to use an eyeshadow, but use a cream or stick eyeshadow so that you don't have fallout and so that it's easy to blend away if you make any mistakes. I'll draw the same about 1 millimeter below my inner lash line and repeat this on the other eye. And then apply this Tarte mascara. I always keep a Q-tip handy because I know I'm going to make a mess. I'm quite okay making a mess as long as I get the maximum length possible. And of course, removing it with a Q-tip is quite easy. I start by applying it to the base of my lashes as close as I can without stabbing myself in the eye. And I try to stick all the way till the end. Sometimes to grip my lashes better, as I move the mascara wand up and down, I also rotate it just slightly. This way the lashes get to spend more contact time with the brush within the same quick motion, and it also helps the brush get really through the lashes and coat them properly. I make sure I keep doing this until I get even the cornermost lash covered, and then whatever is left on the wand, I apply it on the tips of my lower lashes, carefully avoiding the skin. I don't get too close to the roots of my lower lashes, otherwise I run the risk of it making quite a mess, which gets harder to clean even with the Q-tip. I'll now repeat this for the other eye. Using the Nude Sticks Magnetic Matte Lip Pencil in the shade Purity for both my lip liner and my lipstick, I'm going to be overlining my lips more towards the center so that I get more of a vertically lifted lip. Now I'll just gently draw it towards the corners of my lips without overlining much on that side. Now I'll keep changing the angle to identify where the line could be crooked and keep redoing it, but I would also do the same kind of overlining on the bottom lip where the centermost area is the most overlined and the rest of it is just gently buffed in. final checks, and I need to fix that peak a little. I'll do that, and then I'm done with my lip line. Meanwhile, any mess from my mascara must have dried up, so I'm going to take care of it with a Q-tip. And this step is completely optional, but over that eyeshadow eyeliner line that we had made earlier, I'm going to darken it with a black eyeliner. This one is the Clinique Shadow Play Eye Definer in Champagne and Caviar. I think this is the Caviar shade, but don't use this. Just use whatever you're comfortable with. This line is thinner than the shadow line that we had made earlier. And the idea is that the black transitions into the brown, which transitions into that blended brown from the eyeshadow that we had applied earlier as an eyeliner. The result is dramatic but soft. I'm looking straight into the mirror to see if the wings are matching. I'm going to look for spots and imperfections that I may have left behind. I'm going to spot conceal those. I'll powder my face once again. Now we're ready to go out. The next look that I'm going to be doing is going to be a luxury version of event makeup for girls who do like makeup. So stay tuned and subscribe, and do mention in the comments stuff that you would want me to talk about more.